Here we're coming downstairs, and then all of a sudden the door flew open, and this like SWAT team dude in like full body armor and an MP45 submachine gun, and he stuck it in my face. The door flew open, it was in my face, and he said, "Get the fuck upstairs, get the fuck on the floor." And I was like, okay, holy shit. But it was like super, super terrifying.
And I'm sitting like this, and they say to put my hands behind my back. They're shouting with their shotguns or whatever, their guns drawn. And I go to put my hands behind my back, and then obviously, like, I felt like I was moving pretty quick, but obviously not quickly enough. And the cop that was in like full gear with the gun came and like kicked my arm. And when they did the zip cuffs, he put them on initially, and then stepped on my wrists, either with his foot or his knee, and like cranked on it.
Laid down, and I went like this, with my hands over my head, and then they told me to put my hands behind my back, and I was zip-tied like that. And then the six of us were zip-tied up here. And it was like a super long process. It was freezing cold. My heart was pounding. It was really scary.
At one point I asked him if my hands were turning blue, and he said, no, more like a purpley gray.
That they could do anything. I was like, they could do whatever they wanted. They have machine guns, and we're zip-tied, and they could do anything. So we were kind of starting to crack jokes amongst ourselves, just fooling around a little bit to try and keep like the mood light, because we were like really scared. And one of the detectives was like standing right over there, and he was like, "We need you guys to be quiet, okay? Okay?" And we were just like, "Dude, why? Like, take it easy." He's like, "Well, we just need to keep control of this situation. You're like, I want to get out of here, you want to get out of here, like, I'm sorry I'm doing this, like, we're sorry we're here, but, you know, we just gotta, like, take care of this, we want to get out of here." And my friend was like, yeah, you're sorry, I bet you're real sorry. You know, I'm sure you're real sorry. And he was like, "Well, you know, we're just trying to keep control of the situation." And she was like, "Dude, you have machine guns. You're in control of the situation. We're a bunch of kids, and you just came into our house at 8 in the morning. Like, how do you think you're going to lose control of this situation?" And he was just like, "Yeah, well, you know, I'm sorry. We just got to do this." And then I looked him dead in the eyes, and I said, "I would believe you if you were a firefighter." And then,
Okay, this is Eyewitness Video is under house arrest in St. Paul. It's the subject line. This is Eileen Clancy, one of the founders of Eyewitness Video, a New York City-based video collective in St. Paul to document the policing of the protests at the Republican National Convention. The house where Eyewitness Video is staying in St. Paul has been surrounded by police. We have locked all the doors. We have been told that if we leave, we will be detained. More than a dozen police are wielding firearms, including one St. Paul officer with a long gun, which someone told me is an M16.
I was here in the capacity of a legal observer. This house is where a group of journalists are staying. What's going on right now is that people are inside. The house is surrounded by St. Paul police, and we're waiting for a warrant.
Colleagues in Minneapolis had all their video equipment and computers taken about a week ago, or less than a week ago, and I've been calling it preemptive video arrest. So I guess that's what's happening today also. It's another attempted preemptive video arrest.
And Eyewitness is a group that you can check out online that was very involved in the RNC 2004 in New York.
Out of 1,800 arrests, at least 400 were overturned based solely on video evidence which contradicted sworn statements which were fabricated by police officers.
Cross the street. Keep going. That's fine. You can...
You're going to be on YouTube tonight.
Hold on. Don't speak, people. Simon, Judge, that's Judge Joanna Smith?
Judge Joanne Smith.
Joanne Smith? Okay. And this is the house?
What's the address? What's the address?
What's the address?
That's not our address.
951 Eaglehart?
4949.
That's not this address.
4949.
It's not this house.
No. This is a different house. No. That's Chris. You said that they can't do that. It doesn't cover both.
No.
So we're in one half of the house. This is 949. The warrant says 951.
Which way will they come in if they come in here? I don't know. There's an attic entrance and there's a downstairs. I didn't check the downstairs yet. I don't think I can lock it from our side. What should we do?
We can lock this door. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on top of your head, please. On top of your head, please. On top of your head, please.
You know what, police, ma'am, we're just clear. Are you going to listen to me?
Around the warrant.
You need it.
So we're just notifying you about that. That we need something around the warrant to any news gathering material. Officer Vice.
Can I please hold on?
No, you can't. Hold on. You're being detained right now.
Guys, you go in my backyard. They're handcuffed back here if you want.
Are they under arrest?
You see, if they arrested us, they'd have to swear out a complaint against us. And there's nothing that they could prove. They've been detaining people for days around here. And they photograph them, they look through your materials, they copy your materials, and don't return them to you. And then you're merely detained. So you don't have the same situation where you have a police officer swearing out an affidavit, which we could prove was false. This seems to be a new technique. It sort of looks softer because maybe they will release us. But even so, we've been prevented from working here for hours today. So I guess it shows that you can use knowledge, you can use information, you can try to tell the truth, but brute force prevails.
The whole experience was terrifying. It was dead terrifying. It was the most disempowered I've ever been, probably in my whole life, and definitely in my own home. That type of strategy, if you want to think of these raids as a type of strategy for repressing dissenting communities, has been something that they've used before. And I think repression is constant, but that it flares up in specific instances, and that this was a particularly visible, particularly violent form of repression. And it was, I think that's what it was for. It was so symbolic. This raid, I feel, was so symbolic, because they could have gotten Max anytime they wanted to. They could have followed him home from work and said, "Are you Max Spector?" And he'd been like, "Yeah," and they would have arrested him. And it would have been terrible, but it wouldn't have been a raid. But there's something so spectacular about a raid.
They've been collecting urine for some time, in bottles and in buckets.
5 gallons of urine, bricks, baseball bats, even a slingshot.
Sending rocks toward the cops.
The Ramsey County Sheriff says they are tools used by anarchists.
Do you remember what they did when you were outside?
No.
Remember, you forgot your crayons in your book.
In the car?
No, you forgot them downstairs. Right?
It was markers.
Oh, sorry. So what did you forget inside? Do you remember?
It wasn't a book. It was paper.
Oh. Who got you that paper?
The police.
They did? So you could color downstairs?
Yeah.
You must be pretty special.
Yep.
And what about all that stuff the authorities seized? One guy who got a visit from the sheriff says it's just junk they took from his place.
There's nothing dangerous in the house. My tools were taken because they assumed they were for, I don't know what, just a whole batch of tools, like $1,000 worth of tools they took. They just loaded up a truck and took all my stuff. And so I was out of business with regards to scrapping.
They love to pretend that we're always hoarding feces and pee. So they mentioned that. Of course, they did not find any feces or pee.
And what about the bodily wastes?
In this house, it worked like there was a bucket underneath the sink, and the pipes were disconnected so that the water from the sink would drain into the bucket. We then took that bucket upstairs and used it to flush the toilets.
After the sheriff's department seemed to have such a fetish for scatology, we spent a long time thinking through and discussing with one another where this could have come from. With regards to the buckets and buckets, yes, there were buckets of gray water. Folks who washed their dishes and didn't want and wanted to save water had some buckets in their homes.
As you look over the tools of the trade of this anarchist group, you will see